We're live. We're alive. Let's get started. Trump's arraignment the broadcast is here. We're going to get immediately into Trump's arraignment. As I told you earlier, we dress up on days like this. You know what I mean? I go to my friend's wedding. I'm not dressing up. Trump's arraignment, I'm right here. No mugshot. I know. But let's just get started. Trump, ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump, the 45th president of the United States of America, has pled not guilty to 37 federal charges that range from espionage, that range from collusion to withhold information, that range from obstructing justice charges, and holding on to classified documents long after he was allowed to hold on to it with the full knowledge that they were actually classified documents. We've talked about it extensively. And my boy is in Miami today, and he has pled not guilty to 37 federal charges. Here we go.
That's the standard. Then you had Mike Pence, who had classified documents in his home. Then you had Joe Biden, who had classified documents spread across the country in different boxes, including unsecured in his garage. If Trump's going to be indicted, so too then should be Joe Biden. I also can't get beyond the fact that every time we find corruption, evidence of corruption on Joe Biden, Donald Trump gets indicted. I mean, that's what I see just as an everyday American, as someone who hasn't seen eye to eye with Donald Trump, and that's how we're going to operate. I don't think it's the right way, and I think it's shameful what's happening today.
I'm going to say some stuff here, okay? Every conservative that's trying to fucking engage in any kind of defensive posture here is literally so incredibly aware of how over the situation is, okay? They are so incredibly aware of it that they can't really say, oh, this is a witch hunt, these charges are bullshit. Like, they literally are just basically stating, well, Joe Biden maybe did some stuff. Hillary Clinton did some stuff. Hillary Clinton wasn't arrested. Isn't that fucked up? And it's like, okay, well, you can't go to court with that. You can't take that to the motherfucking bank, buddy. You can't just walk up to a judge on your personal criminal court case and say, Your Honor, I've done a murder. Sure, you caught me red-handed. Fine. But think about all of the other people that also have done murders that have not been arrested for it. That only works maybe for the fucking idiots, okay? Maybe for the dumbasses. And even those dumbasses are probably looking at that. They love Trump anyway. Does this actually harm him in the eyes of moderates? I do think so. Absolutely. I do absolutely believe that. This situation actually kind of dramatically changes the Republican primary a little bit. Now, there are 37 counts here. And what I have seen so far and what I've talked about thus far with respect to like what the Republicans are leaning on, Donald Trump needs to get rid of all 37. He can't just say like, oh, it's fine. Like Donald Trump's team needs to get rid of fight against all 37 charges. However, Fox News broadcasters and people like Lindsey Graham are basically trying to focus on one or two and going, well, they're overcharging him. And it's like, yeah, but there's like dead to rights charges in there that already have so much verifiable, factually accurate information. Like Donald Trump's firsthand accounts of Donald Trump openly stating that he knew that these documents were classified and whatnot, that he's absolutely cooked. Like, that's all you need. You don't need 36 charges. You need one. So you're fucking cooked. You're absolutely cooked. And conservatives basically recognize that, which is why this time around, they're not talking about like the Alvin Bragg DA case. They're trying to do whatever DNA, fingerprints, recordings, witnesses. It's comprehensive. Exactly. The feds don't fuck around. I understand why they get like 96% conviction rates now. I mean, the federales, they don't fuck around, dog. I really thought that they fucked around, but turns out the only one who was fucking around and finding out was Donald Trump, okay? But yeah, he is now under arrest and booked on federal charges. Former President Donald Trump, 46 minutes ago, according to CNN, is under arrest and booked on federal charges. And what an incredible way to go out. He was heading to the court and he was still posting up until he was arrested. He is a true poster, 100%. The greatest, the GOAT, the most goated poster president of all fucking time, okay? Straight up. But can you really blame him? This is the question I have on my mind right now, and I'm sure plenty of you are also thinking. And the answer is not really, because he kind of got away with it his entire life. He has never actually seen any criminal punishments for all of the crimes that he has engaged in, so much so that he's basically used to just saying, like, what are they going to do? Arrest me? Get the fuck out of here. I'm Donald Trump. I'm the motherfucking president, dog, which is fine. But unfortunately, he's no longer president. So when you're no longer president, well, then it doesn't matter. You know, Teflon Don, big chink in the armor. Okay. Turns out 70 plus years of just like failing upwards and doing crimes in broad daylight, openly. Things that other people would have gotten absolutely destroyed over. He thought he could get away with. And he got comfy. He wasn't even trying to, he didn't have any of that paranoia that most, rugged criminals have, that render them, that incapacitates them, but also basically forces them to cover up their footsteps and their tracks regularly. Donald didn't do any of that. He was out in broad daylight doing that shit. He was like, what's up? It's fine. I'm doing crimes here. I'm doing crimes. I'm fully aware that I am doing crimes right now. This is the crime I'm doing, the specific crime. Here's the rule in the rule book that says I'm not allowed to do it. Here's me doing it. Here, take a photo. That's our situation. I love it. How can you not?
How limited are Trump's attorneys in terms of addressing this case? What would be their best defense?
Well, the best defense here is now that you're indicted, you've got to go 1,000% with all the motions to try and knock out as much evidence as possible. Jack Smith has anticipated that. The beauty of this talking indictment is it anticipates these arguments that somehow he had them by mistake, or he didn't understand, or he could declassify. The indictment rebuts that on its face. They're going to challenge use of classified documents by the government. The government has to be careful about putting, classified documents out there, and there's a complicated procedure, the CIPA, which will govern that. So they'll go at that. So these
Donald Trump has officially been released without conditions.
Huge burden.
I want to point to something here. Okay, here's one I guess hurdle in the way
because it should be something that's
of justice being served.
And
the only hurdle in the way of justice being served in this situation is that, as far as I understand, this judge is a partial one, not an impartial one. Is crime still good? Crime has never been better. Crime is so good. Look, we love crime on this broadcast, okay? So maybe you're going to be confused when I say, I think they should free my man. He did a crime. But, however, as crime aficionados, there is one type of crime that we do not like. Because we love crime on this broadcast, because, we're Californians, I've literally voted time and time again on the ballot, specifically to legalize crime in general. I also do like criminals who engage in the art of the crime. Donald Trump at this point is kind of fucking hand-waving it. He's basically doing the crime, but he's doing it in a way that's very sloppy, and I don't like that. As someone who appreciates crimes, I like when people put a little bit of effort into it. And for that reason, I do think Donald Trump should be punished, even though, he should be freed, because across the board, I am pro-crime, and crime is good. That's my take. Gavin Newsom destroyed Hannity last night. I know, we're going to watch that as well.
Submitted to Trump's attorneys, and they will agree that those witnesses on that list will not communicate with the former president about the facts of the case. They will still be able to communicate as they would in normal daily life, but they won't be able to talk about the case. The other condition is that he cannot talk to Walt Nauta, his co-defendant, about the facts of the case either, because they're co-defendants.
I like criminals who don't get caught.
Traveling with the former president this weekend in campaign stops. So there's a list that will be created and likely litigated of people with whom the former president cannot speak about this case, potentially including his employees and his close allies. The release conditions.
Yeah, definitely. Donald Trump will certainly follow through on that. It's like, that is literally worse than throwing him in solitary confinement without access to Fox News. Okay? Donald Trump got into this mess to begin with because he can't shut the fuck up. He literally loves flexing. If you think he's not going to talk to people around him, if you don't think he's going to go back to Mar-a-Lago and tell every fucking jet ski dealership owner the exact details of the case, including some who he may have collaborated with. I don't know what to tell you. He is going back to tweeting. Okay.
That's
what were you going to say about the judge being biased? From what I understand, this judge is a Trump. This judge definitely favors Trump, and is not like expressly anti-Trump, or he is like openly pro-Trump. He's not like one of those like impartial rule of the law type judges. I mean, he is a Trump-appointed judge. However, it was a Trump-appointed judge that allowed for the investigation to continue. It was a Trump-appointed judge that gave a subpoena, that signed off on a search warrant. So it doesn't really matter if one is a Trump-appointed judge. What matters is if he or she, because the previous one was a he, was a Trump-appointed judge who signed off on the search warrants. The judges sometimes will do this thing where they're like, yeah, well, I was Trump appointed, but like I want to, they were both women. No, I thought the other one was a man. Trump appointed judges sometimes will still do this thing where they're like, oh, well, I care about the rule of law. So that's what matters. That's what matters. My favorite podcast, Mueller, She Wrote, has some sweet copium on this. I don't know how real this is, but according to Joyce White Vance from MSNBC, the CIPA, the Classified Information Production Act that governs this case, includes an immediate right on expedited appeal. So if the DOJ doesn't like a decision by Alien Cannon, they can go straight to the 11th Circuit. That gives DOJ not only the opportunity to appeal her substantive decisions, but it also gives DOJ an automatic trigger to ask the 11th Circuit to reassign the case to a different judge quickly. So ultimately, even if it is like, even if it's rigged in Trump's favor by this judge, they can just move it around. But also remember, like, just go back to the fucking evidence. You know what I mean? And there's so much of it.
Evidence that would say to them that a drug-addicted, sex-addled kid, President Biden's son.
They're not talking. I was like, let's look at the evidence. Fox News immediately not talking about the evidence.